Hello everyone. I'm going to have a go at making some quince jelly. Now, it's a relatively simple recipe. It's basically, depending on which one you use, quinces and sugar, or quinces, lemon juice and sugar. And these are the quinces. They've come from a member of the family who's got a neighbour with a quince tree. Basically, I'm just going to wash them and then cut them up. So I'm not going to put you through the process of watching me wash them all, but I'll bring you back when we get to the next stage. Now the next stage of the process is just to roughly chop the quinces up. Again, I'm not going to make you watch me through the whole process, but I thought if you've never seen a quince before, you might like to see one. So there's a whole quince halved and then quartered, and they look a bit like a pear inside, or an apple. They're a member of the Japonica family, and hopefully we will get some quince jelly out of this. Again, this is a bit like my pumpkin jam recipe, one that you have to leave overnight. In this case, we're after the juice, which we need to strain out of the fruit overnight. So I'll bring you back when I've got to the next stage. Okay, so as you can see, that's all cut up. It's in the biggest stock pan that I possess. At this stage, weight isn't important, but just to give you an idea, there's just under 4 kilograms of fruit in there, about 3.9. You can probably also see that it's just topped up with water. What's going to happen now is I'm going to put the lid on that, light the gas flame underneath, and leave it for, well, and basically until everything is kind of soft and pulpy and mashed together. Not quite sure how long that will take, probably a couple of hours at least. So I'll bring you back when we've got to that stage. So this has had an hour and 3/4, and I've just been coming in every now and again. It's had the lid on up to this point, but I think what I'm going to do is just leave the lid off for now. Oops, I'm dropping it all over the stove top, and trying, because there's quite a lot of water, as you can probably see, so just try and reduce down the amount of water. So leave it. It's not, wouldn't say this is soft and pulpy yet, which is what the recipe says. It's soft, but it's not pulpy, so we'll leave it for a bit longer. I'll bring you back later. Now the next stage is to try and strain the liquid from the quince and pulp. Now I'm a little bit concerned about the amount of liquid that we have, and also the amount of pulp, so what I'm going to try and do is slowly spoon off as much as I can. I don't want to try and tip the pan too soon, because I might spill it everywhere rather than where it needs to go, which is into this muslin. So what I've got is a big mixing pan with a colander on top, and I've lined the colander with muslin, and I'm just going to slowly ladle off the pulp into that, and then put the liquid through as well. I can hear Ruby barking in the background. She thinks there's a cat in the garden, and there isn't. And then this will be left overnight to get all of the liquid and juice out of the fruit. And when we've done that, I will bring you back. So this is the initial strain of the liquid, and I'll take you and show you what we've got to collect the rest overnight. But quite a significant quantity of this lovely kind of rose coloured liquid, which I'm just going to need to let cool, because obviously it's still very warm, having just come off the top of the stove. But let me tell you and show you where we're collecting the rest of it. So this is the slightly unorthodox contraption that we've got here to collect the rest of the liquid. This is one of our dining chairs with the seat popped out, and a bit of wood being used to suspend the muslin bag, which has got the rest of the fruit pulp in, and then just a colander to well, over a saucepan. The saucepan's collecting the liquid as it drips out, as you can probably see, slowly dripping. We'll leave this overnight. The reason I've put the colander in there is just in case the muslin fails. There's quite a bit of weight there, a little bit concerned that the muslin might break, or the knot might come untied up here, and then it'll just fall into the colander rather than going everywhere. But fingers crossed this works, and I will bring you back a bit later on. Welcome back. For me, this has been 24 hours. For you, this has probably been only a few seconds. As you can see, we've got quite a bit of juice. There's a little bit of a skin on the top which I need to get rid of. I'm just going to spoon that off. Now, the recipe says for every pint of liquid we need 500 grams, or half a kilo, basically a pound of sugar. Come on, focus. So I've got 1500 grams in the pan already, and what I'm going to do is ladle across with a measuring jug from the liquid to mix it in with the sugar. So this jug is a pint. So what I'm going to do is get it to a pint each time, and I need 3 of these for the sugar that's already in there. So that's enough for the sugar that's there. So I need another 500 grams of sugar, and probably that's another kilo of sugar. So we've got the sugar mixed in with the quince juice or syrup, and we're now just going to slowly bring this up to a boil to help dissolve the sugar, and then push it on to reach a setting point. I've already got my jam jar lids on the stove sterilising, and my jam jars in the oven sterilising, so I will bring you back when we get to the point where we're about to reach the setting point. Now this is just starting to come up to the boil, and what I need to do is gently simmer it for about 10 minutes, which should hopefully promote the setting point. Now quinces have a lot of pectin in them already, so hopefully this should set relatively easily, but the recipe says about 10 minutes. I think it might be a little bit less once we get to the boil, but we'll see how we go. So how do you tell when you've reached the setting point? Well, you take a teaspoon with a little bit of your liquid on it and just pour it onto a clean saucer and leave it for a moment. If the liquid has set, when you lift the saucer it shouldn't run, so that's not set yet. Another way to check for set point is to spoon a little bit more than I had before onto a plate, and then just push your finger through it. Now that isn't set, because it should wrinkle if it's set. However, it does taste very good. Okay, so what we have is our first batch of jars, and what I'm going to do is very carefully ladle across the jam, or the jelly rather, into the jars. The jars are hot, as is the liquid, so I want to get each one as full as possible, and I'll keep going with that and bring you back when we're done. So this is our final quince jelly. I think we've ended up with about 12 3/4 jars in the finish. Got 1 part jar in the fridge we tried last night, which was very nice. Had a couple of questions. I posted some photos on Facebook as I was doing this. A couple of questions. What do you use quince jelly for? It's a jelly that you can use a bit like a cranberry jelly, so with meat, and different recipes say different things, but it seems to be anything from lamb to game meats, but also it just tastes nice on buttered toast. So if you fancy having a go at this and can get hold of some quinces, it's relatively easy. I would say the 10 minutes that the recipe says it needs to boil is a bit of an underestimate. I think in the finish we boiled this for over an hour before we finally got to the set point, but there you go. If you have been, thank you for watching, and I hope to speak to you again soon. Take care now. Bye bye.